Hi guys, Ren here and welcome to the workshop. Winter is now well on the way, so I'm really appreciating my new Wahoo indoor training setup. But some of you don't really like indoor riding, so you need a different solution for winter training. And for that, often a winter bike is a good solution because putting these high-end bikes through all the grime and dirt isn't that preferable. So here's what I've built up for a customer, and I think it's turned out to be really damn excellent. So let's start with the frame. This is a Diverge E5. So sturdy aluminum frame with a lot of mounts and inserts. It has a future shock for comfort. And yeah, all the standard stuff that you would expect. Lights, of course, are crucial for this kind of riding, so strong front light here, not currently installed, and a tail light, also currently unclipped. So those bases need to be covered for a winter bike, definitely. There are tons of good options out there on the market right now, so I have to say I'm not an expert on lights. I'm more an expert about aerodynamics and time trialing, as you know. But I use Bontrager flare lights on my own bikes because I have them for years and they just work. As for the rest of the stuff, a couple more interesting touches and also quite important. So for winter you want big tire volume and good puncture protection. So we have Conti GP 5000 tubeless tires in the largest 32mm size, with a lot of sealant in there for extra protection. And these are mounted to DT Swiss rims or wheels, which have an excellent reputation in terms of tubeless compatibility. And then we have mudguards. These are the SKS Blumels mudguards, and they fit this bike very nicely. On the front I had to do a modification because this part is not long enough to reach out from here without interference with the through axle, so I wanted it to be easily accessible in case of a puncture. So instead I used the rack mounts on a fork, and I had to cut and bend these wires to make it fit, but it looks like it's original. So I have to say I'm happy with how it turned out. Also, the Diverge doesn't have the mounting bolt here on the front of the fork, so I had to remove the L-shaped little metal piece on the standard accessory mount with the Blumels that goes up to here. I cut it off and I drilled a hole in the mudguard itself and installed it with a through bolt on the underside of the fork. What we also need with a training bike is training data, of course, and for that I've installed an FSA power box. It's the first time I've installed this power meter, but I really think it's a good option. Now normally I would use Quark and recommend Quark because I had great luck with them and they're just extremely reliable and function very well. But my problem with Quark currently is that while the spiders themselves are not expensive, they don't offer a lower end aluminum version of the cranks which would be compatible. And while the Dub SL cranks are really nice indeed and super light and stiff and everything you'd want on a race bike, they're probably a bit too much price wise and category wise for a winter beater like this one. Anyway, that's where I found the FSA power box at one of my distributors, and yeah, it's very nice actually. The power meter itself is produced by Power 2 Max and it's essentially an NG Eco. So yeah, Power 2 Max is renowned for its reliability and quality, and it's combined in a not so expensive package. Of course, there are the forged aluminum crank arms FSA Ghost Hammer is nothing fancy, but they don't need to be on a bike like this. And one thing that surprised me in a good sense is how high are or how well the chainrings are made. These are all not just forged but extensively machined, and the upshifting is very nice indeed, so I'm happy with that. This is a standard 110 BCD, but actually not standard. As I look at it now, it's a 4-bolt design, probably FSA specific, but it's 110 and it's a compact setup, so ideal for a bike like this. And yeah, also the mudguard at the back figured with no modification at all, except I've put a little piece of foam in here so it doesn't scratch the paint and it's not that loud when it hits the frame. Other than that, the bike is standard, which brings one problem that we didn't resolve yet. It has a TRP mechanical disc brakes. Now, mechanical disc brakes are cheap and usually they don't work very well. Now, these aren't that bad. I've managed to set them up quite well, but really for a bike like this I would prefer the hydraulic disc brakes ideally, but considering the value of the bike and that here where we live it's very flat, they're not really necessary. But in other cases I would definitely go for the hydraulic version of the 105s, or ideally, if the budget allows, I think I would go for an electronic drivetrain, really, because that's more resistant to the dirt and grime, and yeah, there's no maintenance with cables. You know, if you ride in dirty conditions like it is expected with a bike like this, they can go south pretty quickly. Even though they're quite well shielded in this frame, most of them internal with full length housing, so could be worse, but anyway, electronic would be 100%. Okay, so that's all about this bike and my thoughts on how to build a winter bike. If you want to know more about other bikes that I work on and build, then don't forget to tune into the channel later on and subscribe. Thanks for watching and see you next time.